My next guest, Lindi Biggi, who is founder and president of Loving All Animals, and she's here to talk about the organization, but particularly their great upcoming fundraising gala. And the big fundraiser is on March 11th, and we'll talk a little more about it, but the fun starts at 6 o'clock at the Esmeralda Hotel in Palm Desert, and I love what it's called, Lindi, Dressed to the Canines, Hooray for Hollywood. Well, welcome. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us. We're really pleased to be here, and we thank you for spreading the word for the animals.
Oh, well, that they need a voice, and you are a great voice for them. That's for sure. You know, I'd like to start out because certainly we can't assume that everyone listening knows all about your organization. So that's the first thing I want to start with. For those that are just tuning in who may not be familiar with Loving All Animals, what is the mission statement?
Actually, the mission statement is to try to pull together all of the people and the organizations, both local and national, so that there is more synergy, more power, more effectiveness. There's a lot of love everywhere. But what the mission is to try to pull it all together and see if we can work together and do a better job.
Well, Lindi, now I have to say this. Only you could have gotten this going with all of the support that you have, all of the friends that you have. You've always been involved with animals. Lindi has a great place filled with animals and birds, and used to be called the Bird Lady. I guess you're still called the Bird Lady. But you have a way of getting people together, and you did start out with a huge task from which your organization also grew and developed, and that was to spray and neuter and vaccinate as many dogs as possible at a location called Duraville, many of whom were adopted. How did that rescue start and then develop from there? Talk a little bit about that, because that is so terrific.
And there again, it happened our first year of existence, and it's probably the miracle of all miracles.
Absolutely.
The situation was there. There was like 500 to 800 dogs running in packs through this migrant trailer park. Mm-hmm. And the kids actually couldn't even go out the door to go to school because the dogs were running so wild.
They had taken over.
They had just gone crazy. And there again, nobody's spayed, nobody's neutered. That doesn't come into the picture. They have a hard time just feeding their children without doing that. So, and the time, it was almost like it was something made in heaven. Humane Society of the United States sent us probably $500,000 worth of equipment so that we were able to set up the state-of-the-art 5 surgical sections at Duraville, and we did this with 2 trailers shoved together, no running water, no electricity. We took generators, we took bottled water. 7 local vets worked all weekend for free. We had over 70 volunteers from all the different animal organizations there. Save a Pet and Animal Samaritans probably best were represented.
Well, what was the first phone call that you made to get that started? Was it to Animal Samaritans? Was it to Humane Society? Who did you call when you first heard about it?
The first contact I made, quite frankly, was PetSmart Charities, because probably 3 months before we ever even went out there, they started sending food because there was no animal food. And there was a little guy by the name of Pedro. All the animal food went into one of the trailers, and Pedro took it around because the dogs were so skinny and they were so tick infested, they were anemic. Yeah. So we couldn't really have operated on them even if we wanted to, because they were anemic and they were emaciated.
2 things that I remember about that was Pedro, who made it his personal task to do that, and then when you got involved and how quickly it started and how everyone did come together, it was just amazing.
And PetSmart Charities was the first one that came to the bat, and then it was an email rather than a phone call to Humane Society of the Desert, or Humane Society of the United States, to a doctor called Dr. Davis, and from there it just all came together like like we'd done it a million times.
Well, and I remember the conditions were not great. For certainly what you're describing, but the weather wasn't helpful that day.
I'd say the man upstairs was totally cooperative, except for the weather.
He was testing you.
He sent 18 inches of rain,
Yes.
so we were working in an absolute mud field. But again, that added to the drama of the whole
sure
thing,
did.
because everybody was going around. I mean, the mud was so deep, you'd walk out of your boots. And everybody was laughing. There was never one bit of cranky. Lisa Houston ended up bringing her horse trailer because there was nothing but mud. And we had to have a place to put these animals after they were operated on. So we used her horse trailer and another guy who had a big trailers. These, I think they call them toy boxes for their fancy cars.
Yeah, right.
But his fancy trailer. I mean, it was. Afterwards, this was probably the funniest thing. Where I live, we had trucks and trailers and rigs parked for blocks.
I remember that too.
Washing them all. Yeah. It was so filled. Animal Samaritans sent their truck, which, you couldn't even see it. It was so full of mud by the time we were finished with it.
Well, that is so great. And we're going to talk a little more about that. But I think we should jump right now. First of all, I want you to mention your website. And people can go onto that, find out what you're all about, and then we're going to talk about the gala, and then we'll get back to Loving All Animals.
Super. The website is www.lovingallanimals, naturally all run together, .org.
Okay. Now, the gala, as we've talked about, I love this, Dress to the Canines, Hooray for Hollywood, and that is going to take place on March 11th of this year at 6 p.m., there'll be a reception and dinner and music and everything else. It's $150 per person, and it's black tie optional. And the honorary chairperson is Jackie Lee Houston, and I love that too. That you say here that this makes it a top dog party, and it's going to benefit the Humane Society as well as Loving All Animals. But you've got a lot of surprises involved. We don't want you to give surprises away, but talk about some of the things that your guests can expect, because a lot of galas, of course, there's dancing and there's silent auctions and all of that. But what are some of the other things that you're going to do that you can talk about?
Okay, the chairperson, which is Barbara Rogers, and she is underwriting a huge amount of this, and she is bringing the tokens in, which is from our age group, and so they're a fabulous group. She's bringing them in. There will be bachelor auctions.
Let me interrupt you there, because there may be some people that don't know who the tokens are. Are they a singing group?
Yes, The Lion Sleeps Tonight is probably their most famous song. Right. So
yeah, that'll be fun.
Yeah, they're great. Anyway, so there will be dancing. There's going to be bachelors auctioned off with fabulous prizes. I can guarantee you this will be fun. There will be all kinds of look-alike movie stars there. So it's just going to be an absolute
kick.
Yes,
it'll be a kick.
It'll be a hoot, and it's for such a good cause.
Well, absolutely.
And they're again combining, and this is something we hope to see more of. We're combining 2 animal welfare organizations on this event, and hopefully next year we can combine 4 or 5, have fewer events but more fabulous ones.
Well, that was your whole idea behind Loving All Animals, as you said, to get the groups together. I remember going to the first meeting at your house, and everyone was saying, what a fabulous idea, but I don't see how it's going to be accomplished, because there's so many groups out there, they want to do it their own way, but the feeling was, if anybody could do it, you could, with all of your support. And you've done it. I mean, it's amazing. I'm sure there's still other groups you would like to get involved that are still kind of on their own. But how many groups do you have working
actually,
together?
the first super adoption event we had, the very first one, we had 7 different organizations participating. The one we had this year, we had 23 organizations participating. Yeah. So this is showing you that it's working. And I mean, these guys are talking, and instead of being competitive with each
territorial.
Other, we're all comrades. We're all getting the picture that, hey, we're in this for the same purpose.
And it hasn't been that long.
No, we're 3 years old.
3 years. Yeah. I mean, that's really incredible. Now, are the bachelors secret, or can you mention one or two of them?
No, they're secret.
They're secret. Okay. All right, listeners.
But you'll be surprised. They're fabulous. So all my old cougar girlfriends are just panting.
That's hysterical. So everybody, you've got to, in order, if you want to bid on a bachelor, then you've got to make your reservation soon by March 3rd. It's $150 per person. And look at everything that you're getting from this, because certainly it's going to be at a great place. The Esmeralda Hotel is a wonderful spot to have it.
They're really going the whole length to make this a really classy event for us.
It's going to be. You got your outfit picked out already?
I really do.
Is that going to be a secret, too?
That's going to be a secret, too.
There's another reason.
Stop eating, it won't fit.
I think that's what everybody worries about, but you don't have to worry about that. Let's go back a little bit, too, to loving all animals, and you mentioned the super adoption that you had at your place. Wasn't that a windy day, too? I remember there was something going on that day.
The day when we had it at my house,
at your house,
at the Bird Gardens.
Yeah.
It really was. The weather was pretty good. Last year, the wind was terrible.
Last year? Yeah.
We were at Jackalope.
And that's right. Yes, that's right.
The wind was not good to us. But, even at that, we adopted out 156 animals, dogs and cats. And I was feeling very, very disappointed with that because I wanted to adopt out 300.
Sure.
But Los Angeles had the same type of thing couple months later, and they only adopted out 176.
Yeah.
So
and that's terrific.
Yeah.
So you didn't even know that you had done this.
So if we're good, almost as good as Los Angeles with all their population, I'm going, we did good.
That's right. Now, are we still having problems with the Humane Society in terms of, because of the economy now, there's more animals that are being abandoned or dropped off or just left in deserted homes. Are you getting calls about that?
Oh, it is so bad. There again, one of the other things we do is e-blast. We have 600 plus pet pals, and we e-blast homeless animals out to them, and then they forward them to their friends, and we found hundreds of homes. But it is worse. I mean, I'm 70 years old. It's never been this bad. People
it
are
hasn't.
Locking up their houses and locking the dogs
and
and cats in the houses.
See, that's what I don't understand. Okay, if you're foreclosed on and you have to leave or you don't have any money, why would you leave your pet there? Just drop them off at the nearest animal shelter. It doesn't make sense just to leave them there and let them starve to death. But people are strange, I guess.
think maybe when this is happening to them, they just lose their mind. That's the only thing I can think of. I can't think anybody would really, they can't really do that thinking.
Who knows? But let's talk about a happier thing, because you've also got a program called Mobile Mutts. The idea of which I just love. Talk about that.
Okay, Mobile Mutts. It started because so many of the people, like I say, we have this e-blast situation where we e-blast information out, and then we keep getting feedback from people. Hey, we'd like to meet the dog. We'd like the dog to see our other dog and meet our kitty, and da-da-da-da. And we're going, well, why don't we take you to the shelters? And they're going, no, we don't want to go to the shelters. They make us sad, or we want to adopt every one of them. So we came up with, and the first one we did, which was really a hoot, a guy loaned us his limo.
That's what I loved. That's what I loved.
We dolled up these, and it worked. We thought, my gosh, we've done all this poor me stuff, but all of a sudden we started putting tiaras and fancy clothes and tucks and put them in a limo, and all these rescue dogs now have snob appeal.
Well, that's the thing, Lindi. All of you people that are involved in this, you make it such fun. It's so fun to do that. It's not just this typical kind of thing, and I think that's why you've got so many people behind you, and certainly
the dogs even get into it. All of a sudden they start prancing, and they're looking like they're really hot stuff.
They're hot to trot us, right? And we are out of time now, and I'm just so happy that you've been able to be here to talk a little bit about your gala, and certainly our broadcasting company is happy to support you. So thank you for being here, and good luck with your gala, Lindi, and I hope to see you here another time.
Thank you.
This is the Jacqueline Bachar Show. See you next week. Bye now.